Good afternoon, viewers. Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of Sheriff's Podcast. Today, of course, I'm always starting off with a controversial topic. So let me begin. Recently, the Win Party has teamed up with APNU. And the two smartest person in APNU has resigned, which is Ralph Francaran and Timothy Jonas. I think they're both senior counsels. If I'm not too sure, but I think they're both senior counsels. Now, why did they resign from APNU after Win teamed up with APNU? One reason: Mr. Azzuddin Mohammed is sanctioned by the OFAC, which OFAC comes directly from the President of the United States of America. He was sanctioned during the Biden's administration and during the Blinken's administration, or when Mr. Secretary Blinken was in office. Now he was sanctioned for smuggling 10,000 kilos of gold, corruption. Everybody knows it doesn't make sense to me. Go through it over and over again. Now, why are all these people distancing themselves from him? They don't want to be sanctioned. The U.S. just came out with a statement that says that anybody who is associated with persons that are sanctioned will have their visas revoked, not renewed, or reviewed. Now, forget about a visa. United States is not the only place in the world to go, right? But at the end of the day, nobody wants to be associated with a criminal. Now, once you smuggle 10,000 kilos of gold, and allegedly most of the gold came from Venezuela, right? Venezuela is also sanctioned. The entire country, not just Maduro. Venezuela is also sanctioned. And I want to ask this question, is Azzuddin Mohammed and the Win Party allegedly controlled by the Maduro's regime? Think about that. Is it that he's controlled by the Maduro's regime to give away Essequibo when he wins? Or if he wins? Because as I said, by God knows which miracle he's going to win. It's not going to happen, Guyana. My viewers, it's not going to happen. I am telling you. Come September 1st, vote PPP. Put the X where it matters. Put the X where your future matters. Your children, your grandchildren, yourself. Think about the future of Guyana. We're now building the foundation. So, again, these persons resigned from the party that they have founded. Imagine that. They resigned from the party that they have founded because a man who is now an alleged candidate, an alleged criminal, an alleged gold smuggler, out of Venezuela, who we don't know, who's allegedly teaming up with the Maduro's regime, or regime, should I say, to give away Essequibo. We're not giving a blade of grass. But if you vote for the Win Party, you're giving up the entire, allegedly, you're giving up the entire Essequibo. Because that is his goal. His goal is not to be president. His goal is to be president so he can smuggle and become richer and more powerful. And he wants the power. He has the money, but he doesn't have the power. So think about it, my viewers. A vote for Win is a vote for Maduro, is a vote for giving up Essequibo. We have fought through the international courts since the Honorable former President Granger's administration not to give up Essequibo. There was a treaty signed, and this is what this man wants to do. He is allegedly teaming up with the Maduro regime. Now, I read an article this morning, and I briefly went through it. You know, I'm a busy guy. I don't have time to go through all the articles that I see. But I went through an article on GT Vibes, and I saw that they're claiming that the PPP has been paying a firm that is the, what you call it, a lobbyist firm, right, to write these things about him. No, they're not writing these things. These are facts. These are facts. Why do you think he's in the hinterland communities? Most of the hinterland communities are in the Essequibo region. Editor, correct me if am I wrong. Am I wrong? Most of the hinterland communities are in the Essequibo region. I just went to Region 7 yesterday. That's not far from Venezuela. So again, at the end of the day, think about it. A vote for win is allegedly a vote for you to give up Essequibo. Where is our oil located? In the Essequibo Basin. The Stabber Block is in the Essequibo Basin. How many times have you not seen over and over and over again that Venezuela is a threat to Guyana because they're sending their warships? Allegedly, well, not allegedly, the U.S. actually sent one of their modern warships the other day to help ExxonMobil because, again, ExxonMobil is a U.S. company. So I just want to say this. I'm always starting off with a controversial topic. A vote for win is a vote like you're giving up Essequibo. If that's what the Guyanese population want, then go right for it. But a vote for the PPPC Civic Party is a vote for the progress, vote for infrastructure, vote for the country to move forward. Again, we can be the next Dubai in 10 to 15 years. Don't you want that for your kids? Don't you want to become, don't you want to say that you're proud to be living in Guyana? So again, my viewers, think carefully when you go to that ballot box on September 1st. Vote for the PPP party. Vote for the Honorable President Irfan Ali administration. Do not vote for a man who has an agenda to give away Guyana. Essequibo is 3/4 of Guyana. So I want to say to you, my viewers, do the right thing. Vote for the PPPC administration. I want to come to another controversial topic. Jermaine Figueroa just resigned from the APNU+AFC, or as we like to call them, the APNU party. Again, another member from Linden has resigned from the party. Now, think to yourself, why are people resigning from party? Why would you resign from your job? Because you're not happy. You don't see progress. You don't see gain. You don't see any future in that party or that job that you're resigning from. Let me put it in layman terms. It's not working out. I am telling you, the PPPC Progressive Party has given over 200 or 2,000 contracts to small contractors in Linden. And in Linden, you have to be very grateful that that party, the PPPC party, has given small contractors work. What did the APNU government give them the 5 years that they were in office? You know what they gave them? Nothing. They gave them they gave Guyana 5 months of headache. They were a caretaker government. So a vote for win is allegedly a vote of giving away Essequibo. Think about that. Allegedly, he is teaming up with the Maduro regime to try to take the PPP out of power. But I know my viewers and the Guyanese people are smart enough to understand. And like we say on Sheriff's Podcast, we're here to only speak the truth and the truth only. Now I see he's trying to look smart, he's trying to wear glasses and all these things. What he needs to do is pay his damn taxes. You want to bring in Lamborghini or Ferrari to show off? Pay your taxes. You have the money. I invited him on this podcast. He hasn't responded as yet. But you know what? He won't respond. He cannot even keep a press conference without looking at a teleprompter. So, my Guyanese people, I want you to think carefully about your future. I want you to understand, look, Guyana is a democracy. I can only sit here and tell you the facts. I cannot force you or tell you who to vote for. But in my opinion, and in my view, the only party to take this country forward is the PPPC's administration. On today's podcast, let's move on. I want to focus on the agriculture gains versus the PPP administration this 5 years versus the APNU setbacks. Again, welcome back, folks, to another episode of Sheriff Podcast, where we peel back the layers of leadership, policy, progress in Guyana. I'm your host, Dr. Amir Ahmad, and today we're digging deep, literally, into the fields of agriculture. I want to thank the Minister of Agriculture for doing an excellent job. He's out on the fields most of the time. I've seen him out in the fields. He's campaigning not only now, but he's been campaigning since day one. And not campaigning. Let me not say campaigning since day one. He's been on the fields focusing on Guyana. A little known fact that you might not know is that Guyana is the only country in the world that can feed itself literally without importing food from any other country in the world. Now, our focus today is the Ministry of Agriculture under the PPP's Progressive Party government from 2020 to now, compared to the performance under the APNU+AFC government from 2015 to 2020. So what did we sow during these years? What did we reap? Let's begin with a look at where things went wrong under the previous government. When the APNU+AFC government took office in 2015, expectations were high. The reality, especially for agriculture, told a different story. Let's break down the key failures. Right? And the key failures is the neglect of the sugar industry. Let's not forget Moses Nagamutu and Camarade Ramjitan went and promised in WIM and in Berbice the world to the sugar workers for the vote. Once they got into office, who were the sugar workers? They didn't know them. They were driving in their fancy Prados. They were driving in their fancy vehicles with lights on, and that's what they cared about. They didn't care about the sugar workers. It's the PPP's party who put the sugar workers back to where it is. So don't look at their press conferences and these little podcasts that's coming out since Sheriff Podcast decided to come out, and they're telling you, oh, this and that. It's nonsense. Don't believe their lies. One of the most devastating blows came from the closure of the 4 sugar estates: Wales, Rose Hall, Skeldon, and Enmore. I mean, come on. You went there, you campaigned, you promised these people. Over 7,000 sugar workers were left without jobs. They were laid off. Widespread hardship in rural communities and decimated livelihoods. Imagine that. You're a sugar worker. I'm not a politician, but allegedly Camarade Ramjitan and Moses Nagamutu went, promised you the world to get into office. You went out, you voted for them. You know what they did? All they did was fight for power. I respect the Honorable Camarade Ramjitan very much. I don't want to speak too much about him. But Moses Nagamutu, you promised 7,000 sugar workers that you're going to make their livelihoods better. But you know what you did? You decimated their livelihoods. They couldn't feed their families. Oh man, have a heart. How you eating is just like that they want to eat. The industry collapse caused a ripple effect across agro-based economies in Berbice and Demerara. Weak budgets, allocations, and investment cuts. Budgetary support agriculture were significantly slashed in their budget. Agencies like NARI and an extension of the Guyana Rice Development Board face severe operational constraints. So this is what you guys did, and this is what you guys continue to do, and this is what the APNU or the APNU is continuing to promise. My viewers, my followers, think about it. Do you want this to happen to you again? Or you want the progress to continue? Innovation and research took a back seat. Lack of flood management and planning. Forget the one pump house, the pump station that couldn't be finished, that's now being finished by Geico. Mr. Kamal, he does a wonderful job. I'm sure he's going to finish it on time. He's going to get it done. But look at the amount of pump stations. There's one in Little and Dan, modern. I thought they were building a state-of-the-art building there. But you know what it is? It's a modern pump station. And we're learning from India how to fix our flooding in Guyana. Coming back to the mangroves that the PPP and the EU implemented before the laws of 2015 election. Now look at the mangroves. Guyana is 6 feet under sea level. Those mangroves are saving lives, saving properties, saving damages, saving people's money. So come September 1st, do not forget, put the X where it matters. There were inadequate investment in drainage and irrigation infrastructure. Poor maintenance led repeated flooding in farming area, especially along the coast, resulting in the loss of crops and lives. Imagine that. You have your few dollars, you invested in crops, you invested in livestock, and guess what? It went down the drain. Because these people, the APNU+AFC, promise you the world, promise you they're going to do this, they're going to do that, they're going to fix the NARI, they're going to fix the flood system. They did nothing. All they wanted was power. They got the power, and guess what? They did nothing with it. Rice farmers were left behind. Minimal engagement with rice farmers during the price crash and disease outbreaks. Poor export diplomacy saw Guyana losing international rice market. Well, we all know what happened to the Petrocarb deal during that period, the APNU period, especially Venezuela. Fisher folks were ignored. They were completely ignored. No significant policies attention. Hold on, I just want to get back to the fisher folks. I just passed the west coast of Demerara today. I went to the hospital to check up what's going on. I got to give them a little freck, everyone from the hospital, because, I invested some money there. But I passed by where they usually sell fish. There's a brand new shed there with an advertisement. I mean, I don't know if somebody sponsored it or the government built it, but it's brand new. It looks like a modern fishing shed, a modern fishing market. No significant policy attention or relief measures were offered to these fishing communities during the falling catch rate and rising operational costs. From crisis to cultivation, the PPPC administration turned around from 2020 to 2025. Entered August 2020 when the Honorable Irfan Ali was sworn in, the PPPC returned to government with a promise to rebuild, rejuvenate, and replant. And they did just that. Let's look at the success and achievement under the PPPC's Ministry of Agriculture during the tenure of the Honorable Minister Zulfikar. Revival of the sugar industry. The PPPC reopened several sugar estates, including Enmore and Rose Hall. Thousands of jobs were restored, and the government restructured Gaisuku to return to viability. We've all seen the changes. They've changed 2 CEOs. You know why? You know why you change a CEO in a business? Because you want it to become viable. You want your CEO to make sure that the industry or the business that you're running to be viable, to make money, to have your investments prosper. Investments were made in modernization and diversification of sugar products. Now, I want to say this. I travel the world a lot, and every time I see a pack of Demerara Gold Sugar somewhere in the world other than Guyana, I'm extremely proud, and you should be too. Record budgetary support. Agriculture saw some of its largest ever budget allocation in this PPPC administration. Substantial funding went into irrigation system, farm-to-market roads, and agriculture tech, revolutionizing drainage and irrigation. The government implemented massive drainage projects through the NDIA, helping mitigate floods. New pumps, canals, and sluices were built on rehabilitation of flood-prone regions. Guyana saw greater resilience to the 2021 historic flood due to the PPPC's emergency intervention. The rice sector grew tremendously during this period. Record rice production in 2021 and 2022 crossing over 1 million metric tons. I just want to say this again. Record rice production in 2021 and 2022 crossed over 1 million metric tons. Can you fathom the idea of 1 million metric tons of rice during this period? You know what we had during the APNU+AFC period, which is called the APNU? Probably 200 metric tons. And it's sad to be here every day bashing the previous government and bashing the smaller parties. But you know what? At Sheriff's Podcast, we're here to only say the truth. And only the truth, nothing else. New rice varieties were developed for higher yields and climate resistance. The PPP restored the rice for oil agreement with Venezuela, resurrecting a major export market. Fisher folks and agriculture boost. Over 700 fisher folks received cash grants and reliefs during this tough season. Imagine that. You have a government that when times are tough and tough seasons, they went out and gave cash grants. What did the APNU+AFC did? What can the Win Party do? What can the smaller parties do? They don't know how to run a country. And the one major party that kind of knows what to do, but don't do it, and just won the power, right? They don't do it. They just want to drive around in their Prados and their Land Cruisers and securities behind them. That's all they want. The PPP gave over 700 fisher folks cash grants during the tough seasons. Agricultural development took center stage with water shrimp farming, boosting exports and livelihoods. I can tell you that Ghana is now growing a fish called, or farming a fish called tambaki. Tambaki is a very tasteful fish that sold out within a day. I tried to buy over 200 from the lady from my restaurants. She said, no, it's sold out. And that's a fish from Brazil. That's an exotic fish. An exotic fish that we can now grow in Guyana because of the PPPC administration, the Irfan Ali's led administration. Ghana became a leading force in regional food security through CARICOM's 25th by 2025 initiative. Youth and women in agriculture. The government launched programs to empower the young agro-entrepreneurs and women farmers. Imagine that. Women are now farmers because of the PPPC's administration. Agribusiness training and grants were rolled out and to modernize the sector. Export and expansion and agricultural diplomacy. Guyana hosted an Agri-Investment Forum and Export, the largest of its kind in the Caribbean. I want to go over this again. Guyana hosted this Guyana that we live in currently, Guyana that I'm sitting here right now, through the PPPC's administration, hosted the largest forum and export of its kind, one of its kind in the Caribbean. Never has it happened before. Export volume rose across multiple commodities: coconut, spices, poultry, and now cassava. Look, there's Rooster's coconut. I don't know, there's other brands, and I'm sorry, I can't remember. But everywhere I go, I see Rooster's coconut. Imagine that. We came from a country that we had to go to border market to buy a coconut. Now you're getting coconut in the water bottle. The man has a Rooster. I don't know who owns Rooster, and I apologize if I'm saying anything wrong. But the man who owned Roosters, I'm sure he had to put up millions and millions and millions of dollars of investment to grow those coconuts, farm those coconuts, employed hundreds of persons. I actually saw a podcast, a TikTok viewer went there the other day. State-of-the-art coconut facility. This came under the PPP administration. New trade corridors were opened with countries like Barbados, Trinidad, and even the UAE. Imagine that. Countries from the United Arab Emirates are now coming to Guyana for food security. Guyana is going to be one of the leading countries that every country in the world is going to flock to for food security. Remember, the world has about 8 billion persons. And we're the only country in the world, because of the PPPC's administration and the Honorable Zulfikar, I don't know his last name, so I apologize to Minister Zulfikar, and I don't want to say it wrong, but because of him and the Irfan Ali's led administration and the Honorable Vice President vision of this country, we are the only country in the world that can produce our own food. And countries are now flocking to Guyana for that, for food security. So out of 8 billion people, or let's just say Guyana has about 1 million persons now that we have all these migrants from Venezuela. We are now the only country in the world. Imagine that. So if you go and you put your X on APNU or whatever they call, or Winseed or whatever the party is called, I'm not too sure, jaguar, a leopard, bird, I don't know what the symbol is now. You're making the wrong decision, because you have a government currently that cares about you. You, the Guyanese people, they care about. They don't care about Trinidad. I mean, yes, we do care about our neighbors, but they want to make sure you, the Guyanese people, are fed. From the ground up, real people, real impact. You don't know how, you don't have to take my word for it. Just ask the rice farmers who now harvest 2 healthy crops a year because of the improved drainage, or the sugar workers in Rosal who got back their jobs after years of uncertainty, or the young woman in the Essequibo who've turned a poultry farm into a successful agri-business with government support, with a PPP support. This is real impact, tangible, measurable, and people-centered. So when we compare the records from the APNU 5 years ago of the decline versus the PPP 5 years of dynamic recovery, the verdict is clear. And if the verdict is not clear to you and you cannot see it, then clearly something is wrong with your eyesight, your hearing, and you're just being biased. Agriculture is once again a pillar of prosperity in Guyana, thanks to the strategic leadership, forward planning, and deep respect for the farmers and fisher folks who feeds this nation, the great nation of Guyana. Now, I'm going to laugh because if I say this is the end of today's podcast, I'm going to get cut off. But I want to say a few things. I want to thank the PPPC government for making Guyana the only country and the only nation in the world that can feed itself. When the APNU+AFC was in government, we couldn't even feed ourselves. Most of it was imported. They had a guy, forgot his name, in the Food and Health Department. You couldn't even talk to him. You couldn't even go to him and talk to him. He didn't want to hear anything. If you didn't walk with this, you can't even meet him in his office. So, my viewers, I want to tell you today that this is a pivotal moment in Guyana's future. Don't take it for granted. Don't take the leopard man or the now leopard man or the sanctioned gangster or the wannabe gangster. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. And I want to say this again. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing because he goes out to all the communities, he promises this and that. Can he deliver? Think about it. His father gave him that business and he got sanctioned. Imagine if he runs a country, what's going to happen? We're going to turn like Venezuela. We might as well pack our bags and go to Venezuela. We might live a better life there. Don't be fooled by him. This is a man who's coming out with a Fendi t-shirt, a Louis Vuitton t-shirt, right? Coming out with a yacht or a boat and telling you, the regular people, the regular folks, the man on the street, that he is going to help you, right? That he is going to somehow, right? That he is going to somehow figure out how to help the normal people, the poor in Guyana, so to speak. Well, I don't think there's any more poor in Guyana because the government's been giving out a lot of money. But this is a man coming out with a Louis Vuitton shirt, a Richard Mille watch that costs $1 million plus, all diamond out. I know I'm not jealous. I have several of those watches. So don't think I'm jealous of you, sir. But you are going out there with your Louis Vuitton and your Fendi and your Balenciaga and your expensive shirts and your expensive jeans, going to the normal people on the ground and telling them that you're going to make their lives better. How about you go to GRA today or tomorrow and pay your taxes, and you know what? That will make their lives better because the government will now have the 10,000 kilos of gold in royalty money, the 7% or how much ever percent it is now, to build roads, to give out another cash grant, pay the money that you owe on your duties on your car. When last you drove your Ferrari and Lamborghini? You can't because you didn't pay your duty and taxes. You're a wolf in sheep's clothing. My boy, that is what I have to call you, a boy. A boy with money. You came out the other day, you said, oh, the common entrance result wasn't great. Are you kidding me? Are you absolutely, this was one of the best year Guyana's ever gotten in common entrance result. Who advises you? I guess the leopard. Because clearly, you can't even figure out if it's a jaguar, a leopard, a bird, a fowl, a goat. You should put a fowl as a symbol. You join up with a party, the two most senior council resign the next day. Allegedly, Nigel Hughes doesn't want you. Allegedly, nobody wants you. You have to buy that party. Look, if I was you, go buy an island, sit down with your little money that you have left, and relax yourself. Because you're a wolf in sheep clothing. You are going out there and you are fooling the Guyanese population. You can't run a business for 2 years without being sanctioned. How can you run an entire country? How can you run an entire country with oil? You're sanctioned. So guess what? My viewers, let me explain to you. What he's sanctioned by the United States government. ExxonMobil it's a US company. He cannot do business with them. So if a vote for him is you're kicking Exxon out of Guyana. Basically, they can't do no business. He was in a joint venture with the Vessi, with the Vrede Hoop shore base. They had to kick him out. Because guess what? Exxon could not, the partners could not have done business with Exxon because he was sanctioned. So think about it. We're happy for the oil. We're extremely happy for the oil. But if you vote for him, Exxon has to go. Exxon cannot do business with a man who's sanctioned with OFAC. And that is a fact. That is not me telling you this as a lie. Go Google it. Google OFAC, read through the OFAC document and see what's happening. My boy joined me here. Tell the population, go and do a press conference. You cannot read without a teleprompter. Yes, I am reading from a teleprompter when I'm reading through the facts. There's no lie about it. But go and keep, I challenge you today to go and ask the vice president or the president of Guyana to keep a press conference with them, or to host host an event with them. You cannot speak like them. You don't have the educational power or what you call it, the facts of Guyana to even speak. You will look like a fool talking next to them. Please stop being a wolf in sheep's clothing. Go out there and tell the people that you want to be president because you think that somehow the U.S. will give you a one-off break to be unsanctioned. You're sanctioned. You are a disgrace to this nation. You're a disgrace to this population. You're a disgrace to Guyana. And you know what? The U.S. didn't pick on you alone. There were other persons that were sanctioned a few weeks ago. You allegedly smuggled gold out of Venezuela and smuggle it into the U.S. and the UAE and wherever you were smuggling. I don't know. I don't smuggle gold, so I won't be able to know. But you need to take a step back, my brother. Well, not my brother. You're not my brother. You're a boy. You're a wolf in sheep's clothing. Your party is absolute nonsense. And I hope that my viewers can see through all the lies you've been peddling. You're wearing a Louis Vuitton shirt, $1 million Richard Mille watch, a Fendi boots, and you're going out to the population and you're telling them what? That you can help them? Help them now. Go pay your taxes. You want to help them? You want me to tell you what's going to happen? Go and pay your taxes so the government of Guyana can take that same money, right? And fix the road in Linden. Don't go hug up two people and take out pictures with them. How does that help you? I am sorry. I am really sorry for you. I'm really sorry that you don't have the educational mentality to understand that you cannot be president. You will never be president. You will never win an election. You probably might get a seat or two. What is that going to do? Everybody is resigning from the APNU party. My viewers, I want to end this topic today with this. Think about your future. Think about your family. Think about the development that's going on in Guyana right now. Shout out to the Honorable Irfan Ali that just opened the Ogle to Diamond Highway yesterday. Amazing road. Thank you, sir. Thank you for spending the late hours, the early mornings. Thank you to the Vice President for his vision and his goal in Guyana. Thank you to all the ministers. Thank you to the Minister of Agriculture for making Guyana the only sustainable country in the world. I want to end this podcast today by saying, bring yourself to vote come September 1st. Bring your neighbor, bring your children, bring your grandmother, bring your enemy, and also the little freck we all collect from them overseas, y'all overseas-based family. Make sure that you tell them to come back and vote, and put your vote where the X count, and the X only counts to the PPPC party. That's it for today's episode. Catch you on the next one. This is